You can draw this in Procreate. During this easy, step-by-step, beginner-friendly Procreate drawing tutorial, I will guide you through the process of creating this stunning autumn landscape. You will learn all about using layers, alpha lock, creating gradients, using the selection tool, and more. By following along my steps, you will end up with a fantastic result, which I'm sure you will be proud of. And if you feel like sharing, and you're sharing it through Instagram, then don't forget to tag me in the image, not just in the description, because that way I will be able to find your work, and then maybe we will see it in the next video, just like these amazing results from my friends at Patreon. If you are a frequent watcher, then of course you already know this, but Patreon is the place you can go if you have a serious Procreate tutorial addiction, or if you are serious about training those drawing muscles, because I have more than 150 Procreate drawing tutorials there, and they range from beginner level to more advanced levels. But of course you are here to follow this tutorial, and for this tutorial what you need is a canvas that is 2300 pixels by 3000 pixels, and the color profile is set to sRGB. Make sure your iPad and your pen are charged, grab a drink, maybe a bite, and then let's get started. Let's start off by dropping in a background color. We'll grab this one over here, second color in the first row, and then just drag the color onto your canvas. Then we will create a new layer on top of this one by going to the layer menu and then tapping the plus. Then for our brush, we will use the monoline brush, which you can find under calligraphy. And for our color, we will grab this one over here, which is the fourth color in the first row. And we are going to draw a circle. Now the size of your brush doesn't really matter, just make sure that your opacity is at 100%. I will set my size to 30%, and then let's just draw a circle like this. Then hold your pen in place to make it snap to the quick shape, and then hold one finger on your screen to make it snap to a perfectly round circle, and make it about this big, and then drag in the color to fill your circle. Now to make sure that our circle is nicely centered, we can go to the move and transform tool, which is the little arrow up here. And then here at the bottom, under snapping, turn on snapping. And I can turn off magnetics. Just make sure that you have snapping turned on. And now when you move around your circle, you'll see this vertical orange line. And then you'll know that your circle is in the center. Now let's place it about here. Then let's make a new layer by going to the layer menu. Then tap the plus. And then for the brush, let's switch to the script brush, which is also part of the calligraphy brushes. And then for the color, we'll move on to the next color, which is the fifth color in the first row. Now for this brush, I have the opacity set to 100% and the size is set to 15%. And now let's draw some mountain ranges. Now let's start all the way here on the left and then make a wiggly line from the left all the way to the right. We'll go in front of the sun. Like this, then back up all the way to the right, and now we can drag in the color to fill that area. If your paint is spilling out all over, then check if your line went all the way from the left of the canvas to the right. Make sure there are no gaps. Then let's make a new layer on top of this one. So we'll go to the layer menu, tap the plus, and then move on to the next color, the sixth color in the first row. And then again, we'll go from all the way to the left, wiggle our way to the right, go a little bit higher here, make a nice mountain range from left to right, and then drag in the color. Then move on to the next. Let's make a new layer, tap the plus, then move on to the next color, the seventh color in the first row, and I will do this again. Start here, move your way to the right, go a little bit lower here, make a nice variation, but don't give it too much thought, all the way to the right and drag in the color. Then again, let's go to the layer menu, tap the plus, grab the next color, which is the eighth color in the first row, and this time let's start a bit higher. Move our way down a little bit below the other mountains. Then let's go up all the way to here, and then drag in the color. All right, again, let's make a new layer. Let's tap the plus, move on to the next color, the 9th color in the first row. And then let's do this again. Let's start higher over here, wiggle our way down, and then we'll go up here, just below the reddish mountain to here, and then drag in the color again. All right, let's move on. Let's make another layer. Let's tap the plus. Then we'll grab the 10th color in the first row, and then we'll make another little hill shape. Let's start here, move to the right, all the way to the right, and then drag in the color. Doing great so far. We'll make another layer. We'll tap the plus, and this time we will grab this first color in the second row, and that's the color we'll use for our river. And to create the river area, we are going to use the selection tool. Let's go to the S shape ribbon, then set it to rectangle and turn on color fill. Then start here in the lower left corner and drag your pen up to about here, and then it'll automatically fill. Then tap the S shape ribbon again to get out of this menu, and it will make another layer. Let's tap the plus and move on to the next color, which is the second color in the second row. I'll start a bit higher here and make a hilly shape. We will go down here along that green area. Let's go to about here. Then let's make another line here. And then make sure to close the shape before you drag in the color. And it's okay if it's not tidy over here. You won't be seeing that because we will cover it with another shape. Let's move on to create that shape. Let's make a new layer again. Let's tap the plus. Then let's grab the next color, 3rd color in the second row. And let's start a little bit in the center. Let's go down here from that sun and then start a bit lower than this shape. So we'll start like this, then go up a bit and wiggle our way to the right like this. Then over here we'll go to the right as well, and let's go down a little bit here and then make a wiggly line a little bit downward and to the right. Once your shape is closed, you can drag in the color. Then let's switch the color to the next one, the 4th color in the second row. And then we'll use that to create a shape here on the left side. And I want to create some rounded shapes. Like there are big rounded boulders here. So a bit like a fluffy cloud actually. We'll go downward. And then over here we'll go to the left. Something like this, and then drag in the color. And of course you can always tap and hold the eraser to make it switch to that script brush, and then you can just use that to carve your shape, to erase some parts until you have something that you like. Now let's move on to the next layer. Let's tap the plus, and then for the color, let's go back to the 3rd color in the second row. And let's make another rounded shape here. Just make these little semicircles. And then over here, go to the right, no, to the left, to the edge of the canvas, and then drag in the color. I'll make another shape on this layer, and we'll use the 4th color, no, actually the 5th color in the second row for that, an even darker color. Start about here and make another shape with these rounded parts, and then go to the right and drag in the color. Now for this piece, I like how we have a nice contrast between those rounded shapes and the more jagged shapes. And at the same time, there's also a contrast between the warmer reddish colors and the bluish tones. So that makes it an interesting color combination. Now let's move on to the next layer. Let's tap the plus, Then for the color, let's stick with this one and make another shape with those semicircles over here. And then let's move to the left and then drag in the color. Then for the next color, we will use the fourth color in the second row again. And I will start here and make another shape in front of that other dark shape. I hope you can see it. I'm making these semicircles again, all the way to the right. And then little wiggly shape here. And then drag in the color. All right, let's move on. We have two shapes on this layer again, so let's move on to the next layer. As we move towards the front, let's tap the plus, and then for the color, we'll stick with this one again and make a shape here. Then move to the left, drag in the color, and then we'll switch to the lighter color, third color in the second row for another shape over here. Just a wiggly shape. And then to the right over here. And then drag in the color. Then let's make another layer. Let's tap the plus again. And then with the same color, we'll create a shape over here. Just a wiggly line towards the center here. Drag in the color. Then let's switch to the darker color, fourth color in the second row. And create another shape over here. Then drag in the color. And now we have all the flat colors. Let's dive in and add some gradients. Let's first start with this shape over here, that greenish hill. Let's tap that layer and turn on alpha lock. That way we can only paint on the shape. And we'll do that with an airbrushing brush, the soft brush. And for the color, we'll grab this one over here, 9th color in the first row. And I just want to blend this hill a bit more with the other ones. Now the opacity of this brush is at 70% and the size is at 8. And now let's go over this left area very gently, adding a slight gradient here, making it a little bit warmer. I want to keep the rest of these background hills pretty flat, so let's just merge these layers. We can merge from this one until the sun layer. So we can merge all of these together. We'll just leave that background layer on a separate layer, that background color. Let's actually work on that one now and add a gradient on that layer as well. We'll start with this first color in the first row. And let's make the brush just a little bit bigger, 12%. Now let's go over that center area like this, adding that warm orange glow. Then we'll switch to the third color in the first row, and we'll add an even lighter color here near that horizon. Very gently. And then to soften it even more, you can go to the magic wand, then to Gaussian blur, and then slide your pen or your finger to the right on your screen. And let's go to, well, in this case, for instance, 28%, and then just tap the magic wand again to get out of there. Next, let's work on adding more interest and gradients to the other layers. Let's go to this one first, layer 10. Let's tap it and turn on alpha lock. And then for our color, let's grab this one over here, first color in the second row. And now we are going to make use of selections and our soft brush to add some effects. Let's zoom in a little bit, and then let's make our brush a little bit smaller. Let's set it to 8% again. Now let's first add a little bit of light over here. Then we'll grab the selection tool, the S shape ribbon, set it to freehand, and turn off color fill. And then let's make a shape like this, for instance. Loop around, close the selection, and once you have a selection, you can only paint inside of that selection. So let's grab our brush, go along this edge to create a subtle effect, and turn off the selection tool. And I can see we have this nice little edge. Let's do that again by grabbing the selection tool. Create another shape here. Loop around, close the selection, grab the brush, and paint along the edge. Let's do it again. Turn off the selection, turn it back on. Now let's create a shape like this. Loop around, close the selection, grab the brush, and go along the edge. Let's do that one more time. Make a new selection. Make another ridge here. Close the selection, grab the brush, and paint here. And then turn off the selection. Next, let's move on to the drawing brushes, the drawing section, and let's grab the sticks brush. And for our color, we will grab this one over here. That's the second color in the second row. And let's make a new layer underneath this one. Let's tap layer 9, then tap the plus. And for this brush, I have the opacity set to 100%. And let's set the size to, let's say 3%. And now let's go in here and create some small trees. Let's start with a vertical line. And then let's go down like this with these lines going outward to create a very simple tree shape. Let's create another one right next to it. Make it a bit broader as you move towards the bottom. And then a bigger one over here. One that's a little bit taller. Start at the top. And make these shapes as you go downward. These diagonal short strokes. And again, make it broader as you move towards the bottom. Let's do something similar for this area. Let's create a layer underneath this one. So first tap layer 10, then tap the plus. Then for the color, grab this third color in the second row. And let's make a tree over here, for instance. Make these short strokes, short diagonal strokes for a simple little tree. Another one over here. And then one that is slightly bigger over here. You really don't have to give it too much thought. Make a nice expressionistic tree. And then let's merge the layers together. You can merge this one, this layer 11 with this one. Let's pinch these together and merge these two as well. Now let's turn alpha lock back on this layer. So tap it, turn on alpha lock. Then let's grab the soft brush again under airbrushing. And let's grab a darker blue. Let's go for this one. Fourth color in the second row. Let's zoom out. And let's go over this left area and darken that a little bit. Just something like this. And now let's move on to this one. Let's go to that layer, layer 11. Let's tap it and turn on alpha lock. And let's first go over here, add a little bit of that dark color. It's very subtle. I'm not sure if you can see it properly on screen, but just add a little bit of that darkness. And now let's play around with the selection tool again. We'll go to the S shape ribbon and then we'll set it to ellipse. And now let's make some round shapes. One like this and a bigger one. And then we'll grab another color. We'll grab this light color first, second color in the second row, grab our soft brush, and then go over these areas with some rounded motions, creating these very stylized boulders. Then we'll grab a warm color. Let's grab this one. That's the seventh color in the first row. And we'll go along that edge. As you can see, you can paint outside of our shape and create a little highlight. So you don't have to be on that circle, you can be on the outside, creating a very soft touch. Then turn off the selection and then turn it back on to create another selection over here, a smaller round shape. Then first let's grab that second color again, second color in the second row, grab the brush, add a little bit of that light, and then move back to the seventh color in the first row and add that slight highlight on the outer edge. And then tap the S shape ribbon to get out of that menu. We will continue using this process for the other areas, like this one over here. First, I want to add a different color there. Let's start with this one, fifth color in the second row. And let's go over here. And you might not see it that well, but it's a dark purplish color. And then let's switch to this color over here, 8th color in the first row. Nice warm color. Let's add that on the edges. Of course, you can also make the brush a little bit smaller. Let's go for 4% if you want a little bit more precision. I also want to add a little bit of this color, 6th color in the second row, which is a little bit more like a purplish color. Add a little bit of that as well. Then we can grab the selection tool again, the S shape ribbon. Create some shapes like this right underneath those bumps. Then let's grab the dark color again, this one, 5th color in the second row, grab the brush. And let's go over here to create a nice crisp edge there. Let's turn off the selection. I can see that nice crisp edge. Now let's make some more shapes. Let's grab the S shape ribbon again. Make some random boulder shapes. Some here, maybe one here. Then grab well, which one shall we grab? Let's grab this one again, reddish color, 8th color in the first row. Grab the brush and go along the edges. Let's make the brush a bit bigger again, 8%. Gently go along the outside to create those soft little highlights. I'm going to tap the S shape ribbon again to get out of there. Now we can move on to the next layer, layer 12. Again, let's turn on alpha lock. And let's start on this side. Let's first grab a dark color. Let's grab this one. That's the, 7th color in the second row. Let's add a dark touch to this area. Now we can add highlights. Let's grab a lighter blue, this one over here, 2nd color in the second row. Now let's go along the edges right here. And now let's make some shapes again. Tap the S shape ribbon, create some circles. Then we'll grab the brush. And then we'll go along the edge again. To very simply create this stylized effect. And tap the S shape ribbon again, and there we have it. Then on to the right side. Let's first grab this color over here, 6th color in the second row, for some light purplish touches along this edge. Now let's also grab this color over here. That's the 7th color in the first row. And add some extra light touches. As you can see, I'm painting on the outside of the shape again. And now let's create shapes, selections again. We'll go to the S shape ribbon. Make these shapes. And perhaps a nice and big one over here. Then let's first grab the purplish color again, 6th color, second row, then grab the brush. Create a nice soft gradient. Then we'll grab this color again, 7th color in the first row, and add even more highlight. And then tab the S shape ribbon again. Now to change things up, let's work on some trees now. Let's create some trees in this area. First, let's go to layer 10 and then tap the plus for a layer on top. Then for the color, we'll grab this one, 5th color in the 2nd row. And for the brush, we will go back to the drawing brushes and use the sticks brush again. Then let's make a nice and big tree over here. First, let's make the brush a little bit bigger, maybe 6%. Let's check. I think that should work. Then we'll start at the top, create this simple shape, and it'll get bigger as you move down. Make sure you got some nice gaps in between these shapes. And for the other ones, I want to make the brush a little bit smaller, maybe 4%. Make another one over here, which is slightly shorter than the other one. And again, make these diagonal strokes as you move down along the tree trunk. And then perhaps another one over here. A little bit taller than the one in the background. Make sure that it's broader at the bottom than at the top. Yeah, I like this. Now let's make another tree in this area. I want a nice big one over there, and I want it to be on top of this layer. Let's tap the plus. I want it to cover a part there. I want it to start about here, right behind that rock. And I want it to go all the way to the top almost. Let's make this vertical line first. And now let's make a nice big pine tree. Just move your way down with these nice loose strokes. And make them a little bit longer as you move down to make that tree broader there. I think something like this looks nice. I think we can move on to the other areas now. This layer with these rocks here. So let's go to layer 13, turn on alpha lock first. Then for our brush, we will go back to the soft brush under airbrushing. And let's see. Let's first grab this warm color here, 8th color in the first row. I want to go over this area here, add some warmth by making these rounded motions. Then we'll grab the selection tool again, the S shape ribbon, for some of these nice crisp shapes. I want them to be pretty big. Then grab the brush again, go along that edge. And over here, tab the S shape ribbon again. Then I want some purplish rocks. Let's grab the selection tool again. Make some nice round shapes in front of the others. Then for the color, let's first grab this one. That's the 5th color in the first row. No, 2nd row. 5th color, second row. Let's go over this area. Do be sure to grab the brush. Go over this area just to get rid of that warm glow there. Then we'll grab that purplish color, 6th color in the second row. And then we can go over here and create these light purplish gradients. And over here. And then turn off the selection. So right now we don't have a whole lot of layers, but by using this technique, it does look like we have more layers than we actually have. And it adds interest to this illustration. Now let's work on this area. Let's use this purplish color again. Let's just go over here. Add some of that glow. And then let's grab the selection tool again and make some shapes here. And I want to add some dark color. Let's grab this one, or actually this one, the very dark one. 7th color in the second row. Grab the brush. Go over here. Then tap the S shape ribbon again and again, so we can make more of these rocks. Then for the color, we'll grab the purplish one again. 6th color in the second row. Don't forget to grab the brush and then add that purplish gradient again. Go along that edge. And then tap the S shape ribbon again. Now we have these really nice, interesting layers. Let's move towards the front where I would like to add some grass. Let's go to this layer first, layer 14. And this time for the brush, we will go to the organic brushes. Where are they? There, organic brushes. And then we'll use the reed brush. And for the color, I'd like to use this one first. 3rd color in the second row. And the opacity is at 100%. And I have the size set to 22%. And then let's go over here and just create some rough grass. Create these short, bit like curved shapes, curved strokes. Creating some abstract grass. Then make some strokes a little bit shorter, some a bit longer, just along this area. Then for this area, let's grab this color. You can just tap and hold your finger on the screen to grab it. And then let's add some grass here as well. I hope you can see it. It's quite dark. But just know you should make these short, slightly curved strokes to create that suggestion of grass. And then let's tap the layer, turn on alpha lock. Then grab the soft brush. You know what, let's actually go all the way to the top to recent brushes so we can easily select it. Then let's grab that 3rd color in the second row again. And make this area a little bit lighter, like this. Then we'll switch to the 4th color in the second row to make everything a little bit darker here on the underside. So both areas should have a bit of a gradient from dark at the bottom to light at the top. And now let's add some more grass. By using a lighter color, 3rd color in the second row and the reed brush, we have it under our recent brushes. And then let's just go over that darker area and add some more of these grassy leaves over here as well. Get some short curved strokes. And then let's go even darker. Let's grab the soft brush again and an even darker color. This one here, 7th color in the second row. And let's go over this underside, creating a bit of a dark shadow gradient over here as well. And then let's follow the same process in the front here. Let's go to layer 15. Let's grab the reed brush. Then let's grab the third color in the second row. And then let's start here by adding some grass. You don't have to go along that entire edge. You can just create a few patches. And on the other side, let's grab this color. Now let's turn on alpha lock again. So let's tap the layer, tap alpha lock, grab the soft brush. Then with this dark color, let's go over this area, create a bit of a gradient. And then for that area, let's grab the lighter color, third color in the second row, and go over the top here. And for some more grass, we'll grab the reed brush again with this lighter color, and we'll just add a few more grassy leaves. Just a few patches like this. But then let's grab that dark color again, seventh color in the second row, and grab the soft brush. And then we'll go over this lower area, pushing that back over here as well. And it'll make that grass really subtle, but you can still see it. For the next step, I'd like to add 2 more trees in our scene, and we are going to add those on a layer on top of layer 14 here. So first tap that, then tap the plus. Then for our brush, let's go back to the script brush. It should still be in your recent brushes. And then for the color, we will use this one, 5th color in the second row. Then let's draw a vertical line from here to the top. And use very little pressure at the top. And you can tap one finger on the screen to make sure that it's perfectly vertical. To make it a little bit thicker, we can add a little bit so that the lower area is broader. And then let's make another one over here. Press hard and then lightly as you move up. Hold your pen in place, tap one finger on the screen, and then just add a little bit more to make it a bit more broad. Fill this area here. You can add a little bit here, or you can use the eraser if you want to make it more pointy. I think it looks good like this. And now let's make a new layer on top of this. Let's tap the plus. Then set this layer to clipping mask. It's a bit like alpha lock. This way, whatever we draw here will only show up on these tree trunks. And for the color, we will grab this one over here, 8 color in the first row. And I will make a line along our tree like this. Let's do the same over here. Hold your pen in place. And then let's tap the layer, or at least tap the end right next to the layer name, and let's lower the opacity. Let's set this to 55%. Then we can merge these together by pinching them. And then we'll make a new layer underneath it. So first tap layer 14 and tap the plus, then go back to the 5th color in the second row. And then let's add some branches. These are bare trees. They have a few little branches sticking out. And just make sure that the end of the branch is thinner than the area where it's close to the tree trunk. So use a little pressure. Also for this tree. And because we are on a separate layer underneath, what we have just created, we won't be going over that light side that we have just created for our tree. That is really handy about using layers. Over here, the branches are harder to see. You don't have to add a lot there. I think something like this looks good. Now the only thing we still need to work on is the water. Let's go to the water layer. Over here, layer 9, let's make sure to turn on clipping mask. Let's make sure to turn on alpha lock. And then let's grab the soft brush. And for the color, let's grab this one. Third color in the first row. And let's go over this top area and light that up. Just making these horizontal strokes. Very gently light that up. And this lower area is an area I want to darken. So let's grab a dark color for that. Let's go for this one, fourth color in the second row. Now let's go over here and add a darker gradient there. We can go even darker by grabbing that seventh color in the second row to make it stand out from that grass like this. Now for the reflections. Let's start by creating a reflection of the sun and the mountains. To do that, we need to duplicate this layer. You can do that by sliding to the left and tapping duplicate. And then we need to move it on top of the water like this. Then tap this layer and turn on clipping mask. And then go to the move and transform tool, the little arrow, and use flip vertical. Now let's zoom out a little bit. And now let's move this up a little bit to, let's say, about here. I want to be able to see that sun. Maybe even a little bit higher. I don't want it to touch those rocks there. Now let's create even more reflections. Let's go to this one, slide to the left, tap duplicate, go to the bottom one, tap it, then turn on clipping mask, then go to the move and transform tool, use flip vertical, and move it downward to, let's say, about here. Maybe tap a little bit, move it even lower. Then let's go to the next. Over here, we still have these layers that are separate. These trees aren't on the same layer, so let's pinch these together. Same goes for these actually. We can also pinch those together, as long as those little islands remain on separate layers, but you can pinch them together with the tree that comes with the little island. So don't go merging trees with other islands. So now we have this one. Let's slide to the left, tap duplicate, move it downward. And you can see that it automatically gets clipped. Then we can go to the move and transform tool, use flip vertical, and then move it downward. And let's focus on that right area first. Let's go for something like this. But we also need to move the left area. So let's go to the selection tool, the S shape ribbon, use freehand, and then select the left area like this. Then go back to the move and transform tool and move this downward. And you can tweak it a little bit by tapping on the outside of the box. And now let's continue. Let's go to, where are we? This layer. Slide to the left, tap duplicate, move it downward. Then go to the move and transform tool, use flip vertical, and move it downward. There we are. Let's start on the left this time. Tweak it a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Now let's go to the selection tool, select the right side, then go back to the move and transform tool, and now we can just move this, and it needs to move down here. It's a very little piece, but well, let's just do that as well. Then let's go to, where are we? This one. Slide to the left, tap duplicate, move it downward, then go to the move and transform tool, use flip vertical, and move this downward. It's already pretty close together. Let's go to the selection tool and select this left area, no right. Of course, I know the difference between left and right. Let's go to the move and transform tool and move it downward. I need to tap to make it align. And then finally, we'll go to this layer. Let's slide to the left here, tap duplicate, move it downward, then go to the move and transform tool and use flip vertical. And then align this over here. We're going to need to turn off snapping just to be able to move it easily. Then for the right side, let's use the selection tool again. Select this area. Go to the move and transform tool to align this as well. It's very subtle. You might not be able to see it very well, but this way you can create the reflections for the different elements. Now that we have these, we can pinch them together. So let's do that from this one with the sun to the last one we did. And now let's lower the opacity. Let's tap the N, slide to the left, and let's set it to, let's say 65%. Then tap the plus for a new layer on top. And again, let's set this to clipping mask. And I want to use the soft brush, which we already have selected, and a light color. Let's start with this one, third color in the first row. And I want to add some more light to the center area. Let's make the brush a little bit bigger actually. Let's go for 12%. Go over the center area to add a nice little glow. And now let's go even lighter by using this color, fourth color in the first row. Let's go over here for a nice light touch. Finally, I also want to add some ripples to our water. So let's make another layer on top of this one. Let's tap the plus. We use this light color, but for our brush, we will go back to the script brush. Let's start here in the back and add some light edges along the water's edge. And just some horizontal strokes and these lines along the water's edge. Just some tiny ripples. Some ripples curving around here. Over here as well, light curve. Following the curve of the rocks. And over here. It also nicely separates it from the reflection. And some little horizontal ripples. Until you have something like this. And that's it. You have created a lovely autumn sunset landscape. I hope you have enjoyed following along. Now, if you want to turn this into a streak, then I think you might like this tutorial next. I'd like to thank you for watching, and I will see you next time for the next tutorial.